Welcome to the Voice of Putnam County Business, brought to you by the Putnam County Business Council, where we interview the individuals who are shaping the business climate and economic development of our county and explore their leadership ideas. Our co-hosts, who are also board members of the Business Council, are Nick D'Andrea, General Manager of Park Board, and Nat Prentice, Principal of Prentice Investment Management, LLC. We'll get to today's conversation right after a brief message from our premier sponsor.
When Country Willow Furniture found people staying at home instead of furnishing their homes during the pandemic, the store worried about the loans that fueled their dramatic growth. But Tompkins Bank knew that solid relationships, like solid furniture, last far into the future. The value of a bank in your corner, the values of a bygone era. Tompkins gives you both, and the best banking relationship you'll ever have. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
Thank you for joining. Now let's get to our show.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Nat Prentice, co-host of the Voice of Putnam County Business, and your host to get things started for today. We are blessed with a couple of wonderful gifts. This is part of a series of interviews we're going to be doing with business leaders in Putnam County, people who are going to help us understand what the issues are for those particular industries. This is all part of a survey that we're going to be doing to make sure that we understand what business people are concerned about, what is going well for them, what is not going so well for them. And then once we've done this survey, which we're going to do in a series of podcasts and other forms of communication, we're going to put it all down in a booklet and present it to our friends, the elected officials in our area at all levels of government. We're going to hope that once they've had a chance to look at it, that we can come together and have a roundtable discussion, and maybe we can help make some changes where they are called for. So I've would like to introduce our two industry leaders today. We'll call them the Jameses, because they're both, first name is James. And I think as I describe them, they'll come and join the podcast. There's Jenn Maher, who's with us. We can't go very far without her. She's our founding chairwoman and producer, and my co-host, Nick D'Andrea from Park Ford. You all know Nick, and he'll have a chance to remind everybody about what Park Ford and his family have done, speaking of multi-generation businesses. We have two guests. As I said, they're both called James. James Dane of the Dane Lumber Company. There he is. This is sixth generation Dane. I think maybe it's more than that, but the Dane Company has been in and around Putnam County out of its Peekskill, northern Westchester headquarters for 178 years, I believe, James, something like that. James is the president and has brought a great deal of sort of modern thinking and ideas about communicating with customers to a business that retains many of its traditional practices. And when it comes to lumber and business materials, we'll learn a lot from James Dane and the Dane Lumber Company. We also have with us James Matero, and here he comes. That's James Matero. He is the president of J-Mark Jeweler. And just as the name suggests, J-Mark is a fully integrated manufacturer and retailer of high-end, lovely jewelry, and been there. Again, I think, James, you're the fourth generation, but you may be the fifth. In any case, aren't we fortunate to have as much tradition going on here? And we're just going to ask these are the J-Mark Jewelers at Route 9 in Cold Spring, New York. So we know where you guys are. We're just going to hope that over the course of the next 30 minutes, we can find out some of the things that are on your mind that represent hurdles either for you or your customers to getting a lot of business done. James Dane, why don't we start with you? Give us a little update on the business, how it's going, and then help us understand some of the things that are getting in your way.
So yeah, thanks for having me on today, guys. I really appreciate it. So I mean, we've started off with a really strong year again this year. Still feeling a lot of the impacts of tariffs rollover from last year. That seemed to be real trends and increasing, like a lot of imported steel and aluminum products now. So that's all our fasteners, screws and plugs, a lot of high volume hardware items, aluminum railings, steel railings, that kind of thing. It's up 30-40% year over since these tariffs started impacting. So and we just saw another 10% increase, looking for another 5 to 6% increase over the past month. A lot of these products. So just seeing a lot of rising costs, a lot of the imported steel and aluminum products being mixed in. But I mean, outside of that, it's been very steady, very strong in our market. So can't complain outside of that. One thing I will probably get into later, but a big thing that's impacting when you reached out and we started thinking about some big impacts is really rising healthcare costs. That's what's really that's a serious impact that we're seeing. So I pulled some numbers because we just recently got a letter from our insurance broker that they're looking at increasing costs up to 28% this year. Wow. From last year. I have a record from the past 6 years, and we're seeing generally steady numbers of anywhere between increases on the EPO and HSA plans of between 5 and 9% year over, with a little stutter during COVID. But last year we saw a 14% increase when they called for a 17 to 18% increase. So they overshoot a little bit. So they're calling for a 28% increase. We're looking at a guaranteed over 20% increase. So we're going to be hit with. And we're already, we used to be, and I would always want to be able to pay 100% of healthcare for our employees, but realistically, we can't with these costs. We have to share some of the load. So we pay 70% of our employees' healthcare costs. And now we're going to see a 20% increase for next year. So, I mean, that's a huge impact to our bottom line and just the livelihood of our employees. So,
how many employees do you have, James?
We have 26 employees.
Wow. And you have a history of looking after them well, but this is testing you.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is.
I don't understand how there's not some sort of legislation to cap that kind of increase. Like, because if you add up last year and this year, you're going to be close to double. That's crazy. That's not realistic.
It's just there's no protection and no type of. There's nothing for small businesses. When you get to a certain level of 100 plus employees in the larger corporations, you have the buying power for it. You have a voice.
Right.
Small guys like James, I'm sure that's affecting you, and that's a big conversation for you. But I mean, there's just we have no foothold. It really comes down to buying power.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. I could relate to that, James, and I understand it. I mean, having a business with 52 employees. It's a big conversation every year, and those increases are continuing to get higher and higher. We got a number of 32% this past year that we kind of said to ourselves, wow, this is a big problem because you want to take care of your employees as best you can. And I'm sure the both of you probably have some very long-standing employees in your business, which count on you to foot some of that bill. And it's very, very difficult. And obviously at that point, it becomes a question of, what can you really afford to do to maintain your business? And, what is going to keep your employees around, which is certainly a serious question that you have to ask yourself, because these are valued employees that know what they're doing and allow you to hold the value of your business that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, health insurance is definitely a sticking point here. I mean, I still pay 100% of the health insurance for all of my employees and their families. It's just, the cost has, even just if you look back over the last 20 years, I had 10 employees, and to cover everybody, it was $1,000 a month. And now I've got 7 employees, and to cover everybody, it's $10,000 a month. So it becomes, a sticking point. You have to cut costs other places to be able to take care of the employees and kind of fulfill the promise that you've made to them and their families. And yes, I do have several very long-term employees here, and see, I can't just rug pull and say, oh, by the way, sorry, it's too expensive to have you now. So either make less, I don't cover your health insurance, or leave. That's no way to treat a person. So we just have to keep on bearing the brunt of the extraordinary increases in health insurance. I did just recently get a new person to help with health insurance, and they kind of reworked how it's done. And Putnam County, I guess, just opened up with PEO for me. It's a slightly different way to do health insurance, but it was comparable and much less expensive than sticking with your MVP, Blue Cross Blue Shield, things like that. So we've made some changes and some compromises, and everyone still seems to be happy and, not getting stuck with these catastrophic bills.
What did you call that, James? You called it PPO for me?
It was PEO for the number 4 and then me.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the issues that we do have that we find any broker that we've used for health insurance has always said, oh, darn it, you're in Putnam. Those are some of the first words out of their mouths, because it's such a small county that a lot of health insurance companies don't operate within Putnam. So they say, oh, if you were only a quarter mile north in Dutchess, or, oh, if only you were 8 miles south in Westchester, I got some plans for you, but you're in Putnam. Here's what you got.
Gosh.
Wow.
We can fix that, right, Nick? We're going to get you to fix that.
Yeah, that's a difficult scenario, especially that's just something tough to hear. I mean, why Putnam? What's the reason?
Not enough business for them to make it worth. So there's just not enough of us here to make it worth their while, is the explanation I got. And that's like, golly, if we could only dip down and make Dutchess just a little bit of Route 9, I could get better health care for my employees. And that stings.
The way it was pre-revolution. So,
yeah.
But that's too far back. Well, that's really good input for us, because we just, and you guys were so specific about it, and that's really going to help when we put this all together. Again, we're not miracle workers, but maybe there's a solution, and then maybe it has to do with ganging together somehow or other. James Dean, James Dean, he was a famous guy too, right?
A little older than me.
That's right. Not, but pretty cool too, right? I mean,
very cool. Come on. There's cool, and then there's James Dean.
James Dane, that is to say, what do you hear from your customers? I mean, you got a good corner on the world there, because you see people who are doing things themselves, but for the most part, yours is kind of a wholesale business, isn't it? I mean, it's a contractor's business for the most part.
I don't know. We're probably closer to a 50-50 split between homeowners and contractors. We still do have a big core group of contractors that are very loyal over the years, but the one consistent thing for them is skilled labor. Outside of just an hourly cleanup worker, finding a competent contractor that can provide value to their business. That's always been a real sticking point. So I think that's something they constantly say.
Yeah, to make sure I understand. So that's having people trained in various trades to. Yeah. No, that's a big issue. And what can we do about that? Have a facility of some kind. But that's what they're talking about. What else? Anything else they're talking? I mean, is there a fair amount of business? I mean, they seem busy, contractors, are they? Yeah, no, it seems like everyone's really busy from what I can tell. I mean, if you're good, competent, you got a good business plan, you're going to be busy. You're going to have a backlog of customers and doing that. Different guys have different ways of doing business, so that affects how busy they are. But yeah, generally the labor pool, and I think it kind of touches on really developing the youths into trade schools. If they're not, you don't always have to go to college. You can make good money and big careers and support your local economies and getting into the trades. So we do a lot of work with BOCES, also work with the Youth Bureau in Peekskill, and done some different types of job opportunity programs, done some internships with them too. So we try to get a little bit more involved on that side, but I think more so focusing really on getting youth into the trade schools.
I have a feeling AI will actually have a positive impact here. I think that it's going to open up, like, a college is not the only route and it's not the most reliable route anymore. Right now, we're in a huge transition as to what careers are the good careers to go into that's going to have some sort of safety. But I also am going to step in the hornet's nest and say, do we think that some of the labor issues are because of the immigration issues, that people have lost access to a lot of their potential workforce? I mean, I've seen a lot in New York City. They are doing things like they're creating facilities that take, I don't know what the status is of now. This is honestly before it got a little crazy, but there were facilities down there that would take people who were not documented and put them through training for the hospitality industry and different industries, and then get them through the process of getting documented. Do you think that is one of the things that is impacting the workforce?
It could be. It's not something that really I've seen firsthand or heard of firsthand affecting our industry. I know it is scary for a lot of in Peekskill. We have a big Hispanic community, and so when you hear about different types of raise or hear ICE and Peekskill or something to that extent, I mean, you really think about we do have a lot of big Hispanic contractor base as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm certainly does. That's not something that
Yeah,
I've talked one with a lot of guys, but I'm sure it's affecting it. Sure.
I would imagine.
That's a major topic that's really kind of funneling down from even the federal level. But it really starts, I think, for small businesses in our area at a local level. And it's been a big problem for a long time. And quite frankly, the state and federal governments are probably 10, 15 years behind on getting this in the right direction. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, going to the issue is with the educational system that we have, especially in New York State, is that there's funding that's paid out that is based on how many students go to a college. When those students don't go to a college, those high schools or school districts don't get that funding, in which case they don't want those students to go to a trade school.
Right.
So BOCES programs lost a lot of that funding because guess what? Those students aren't going to a college or not getting at least an associate's degree. That's where it fell apart. And you see that problem. That's a major legislative point that needs to be talked about and not stop being talked about going forward. Anywhere from somebody in your industry or the people that you're selling to, James Matero, in the same breath. I mean, I don't know what it takes to be a gemologist, for example. I'm not sure if there is a university for that. You could probably speak on it as well. But would that consider being a collegiate level degree, or is it something that is there's a specialty school for that?
I mean, in the jewelry industry side of things, you have the Gemological Institute of America that does. You go there and you get your graduate degree in gemology. It's a graduate degree, so it's a master's level degree. And then from there are trade schools. There's 3 or 4 really reliable top schools in the country that are trade schools, but they aren't 2-year programs. They are niche specific. So, hey, here's your a 6-week introductory bench jeweler. You sit at the bench, you learn how to do repairs. And they might, a year later, you might go and you might take another class in gemstone setting or diamond setting, pave work. There's colleges have metal arts degree, metallurgy degrees. We find that generally across the board, if you came out of a 4-year institution, liberal arts institution, with a degree in metalworking, you aren't a particularly good jeweler. You might know the temperature that gold melts at, but you don't have any real world experience on the bench. So they're turning out paper, not product. Whereas if you go to one of the trade schools, you learn to be a jeweler. You learn how to do the manufacturing and the design and what works, what doesn't work. So, I mean, in terms of 4-year degrees, like New Paltz has one. not going to speak bad about New Paltz. They have fantastic professors, but the kids that come out of there, they start from scratch here.
Right.
They learn right from the base level because they don't have the hands-on experience to be a real in the weeds bench jeweler. I mean, yeah, education here, there's a few other international degrees that you can get. One college out of Canada and then one college over in Europe that give you equivalent to gemology degrees. But for us in this industry, it's still mostly hands-on apprenticeship, learn as you go, learn as you do.
Well, I think that goes back to the point of us being so far behind, because if you don't have the proper instructors to teach those students what they really need to learn in the real world when they step into your store, then you might as well start from scratch. So that's the difficult part. And I think those trade schools or those programs that they might have at a place like New Paltz, they're just not up to date on what's necessary to really be in the workforce.
I mean, listen, the things they learn things that are very helpful, but it's all and it is hands-on. But when it comes to real world jewelry repair and jewelry manufacturing,
yeah,
the actual true experience isn't there. So that's why they need to start from scratch with an apprenticeship. Mm-hmm.
I think from a Putnam County Business Council perspective, what I'm getting out of this conversation is we need to be having more involvement with the workforce development. We have an organization that focuses on this. It is combined with Westchester, so most of the emphasis is probably going to Westchester, especially if there's not somebody communicating this information. So I think Nick and Nat, that's something we want to do, is try to get them more into a conversation with us so we can,
Yeah.
we can educate. Like, I think it would be helpful for everybody if there was, if the kids in Putnam County understood the opportunities. Listen, Ford as a whole is struggling right now. From what I've been told, or the automobile industry, they can't find mechanics, and it's like 100,000 plus. It's a 6-figure job. So I think that the kids here don't understand or the opportunities that lie very locally that are outside of college.
And you want to be a gemologist, so you can get one of those really cool buckskin vests that James has got on there.
My apron, yeah, sure.
That is a beauty, that boy.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, across my industry, the one area that we see, there's a major shortage. I mean, throughout different employment opportunity groups in the jewelry industry, it's constant. Jewelers, bench jeweler, people who work on the bench and they can do quality work and put out quality work. That is, I mean, the starting salary is very high and benefits are very good. If we can get a bench jeweler, a quality bench jeweler in here, jewelry stores.
Let's fill in the blank what he was going to say. We can just make up whatever we want.
We can get more bench jewelers. We could really have.
Did I lose you guys for a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
We filled in the sentence for you, James.
Oh, bench jewelers can get. Yeah, they can ask just about anything because there is a demand. Yep.
That's
good stuff.
You guys are giving us a lot to go on here. Back over to the lumber and building materials world. James,
go back to the tariffs for a second, Nat, right? We kind of glossed over that. I'm just curious, James, Dane, what kind of reach out, was there any reach out, representatives to talk about how this has been impacted you? And listen, we're not here to point fingers. We haven't really done anything, right? So we're really trying to catch up now. But on your representative to reach out to businesses and see how this was impacting you guys and try to organize anything to give a little relief?
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
Nobody
gave you a warning. You just got slapped with it, right?
Nope. We get at best a 30-day heads up, sometimes 5 days of, hey, you're going to get a 15% increase, or you're going to get a 6% increase on this. And,
yeah, so that would be
a former customer.
That would be a topic that could certainly be discussed, because I think that really needs to be brought to the table, especially at the higher level, of at least a warning for businesses to supply themselves and prepare themselves for something like that. Because you could certainly have then at that point purchase materials that you need pre-tariff to get you through whatever amount of months it may be to that time frame. That would be a big factor for your business.
I mean, and what we're seeing too is that like these prices aren't going to go down. This is going to continuously going up, especially now with fuel costs. I mean, though it's turned the whole trucking industry and sideways, and just being able to find truckers and the exorbitant amount of fuel costs. And we're supposed to, historically speaking, on the commodity side for lumber, we're supposed to start seeing a taper off on commodities starting to drop off, but it's kind of holding neutral, and it's been neutral for longer than it's supposed to be because of fuel costs. So
yeah,
a lot of increases we've seen is residual of that, and there's more increases just from those costs too.
Yeah,
and hardly, I suspect, any ability to pass it, or hardly anything else you can do but try to pass that along to your customers, which isn't what you want to do, but you're forced to do, I suspect.
I mean, what it's resulting in is that we have to take on huge amount of inventory. I mean, just with this most recent, the few different increases that just started hitting, that's going to be at the end of quarter two, is have to bring on, another 4 or 5 months of inventory I wasn't planning on, or going to spend the cash on to hold it, to be able to provide that relief to customers and our bigger contractors, and just be able to try to stabilize the prices as long as possible.
Wow.
So it's become your responsibility, really.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's a fine line on how much you can really pass on to the consumer, right? There's only so much that a consumer is going to be willing to pay in any industry, but whatever it is. So I think what we're talking about here, really, and when it comes to a legislative level, is not so much the outlook of your industries, of what you're capable of doing and what you're able to sell, but your expense control attached to that. And I think that's really what everybody's focusing on right now as a business owner, is what can I handle as far as how high can my expenses go for me to be able to sustain this business. And that's really what we're talking about from a legislative standpoint, of how can we attack those topics and figure out how to bring that down, or at least level it off to a point where we can start thinking about where our top level of sales can go.
You bring up such an interesting point, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, there are things that, the price gouging, right? People are like, oh, tariffs are up, so we're just going to increase everything, right? So what happens is now Dane has a legitimate, tariff situation that are causing the prices to go up, and people are going to be more resistant to buying that lumber, but mainly because, an avocado costs $20 or something crazy, which doesn't have to be, right? Like, there's no sort of protecting the consumers, and therefore protecting the small businesses as a sense, because, they're feeling it from everywhere. But some people are just raising prices just because, right now you can, because you can blame it on that, where there's a legitimacy in many cases, such as yourself at Dane Lumber, and I'm sure at J. Mark Jeweler as well, that with those costs of materials, but yet you're resistant to be able to pass that along because they're feeling it from everywhere. And nobody's really, like, that's got to have something to do with antitrust or like something, but I don't see anybody really monitoring that, because it's crazy. It's some of the prices. And I am not somebody who watches prices. I rarely ever knew what the price of gas was. I'm pretty aware now. So, so that's not me, right? But if I'm super sensitive to it, I can't even imagine the people who are very diligent in that way of noticing what everything is costing, because I'm like, whoa, what is that, right? But nobody's really monitoring that. It just feels like the Wild West, and it's impacting you guys.
James Matero, just speaking of costs, in your business, though, I mean, you're making up for this by virtue of your willingness to design a very, very, very special ring for someone whom really is just going to is going to respect your craftsmanship and pay what you think is the appropriate price.
Yes. I mean, the price of gold is extraordinarily high right now. That's less to do with tariffs and just what gold does on the market. We have gold costs have a lot to do with, markets, what other countries are doing with their gold supply, international politics, whatever war is happening at whatever time. Gold reacts both market and emotion. So there is nothing I can do to control that. I will say I'm fortunate in the way we've structured our business. Since we do our manufacturing in-house, I don't have to rely on overseas goods for the vast majority of my products. So while, some of the suppliers I use were affected by tariffs, the products that I'm getting from them aren't products that were affected by tariffs. So my industry as a whole definitely freaked out. I think the highest tariff we ever had was about 15%. But in what I need to do business, I was only minimally affected. That was kind of a pleasant surprise. Sorry, James. Sorry. So for me, tariffs weren't. It was very scary when it was first coming out. Like, oh shoot, what's going to happen? What's this? What's that? But then once I started the invoices for the different supplies I needed started coming in, it was like, oh, well, this wasn't sourced from here or there. It was made. This small piece that I need to make my bigger piece was made in Louisiana. No tariffs coming from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but is there from either of you or from Nick, because actually, this is a three business conversation here. Your company has how many generations in your company, Nick? 3?
I'm the third, yeah.
We're the third generation. So we have 3 multi-generational businesses. Anything on the car side that you haven't told us already that we
We'll certainly get into that at some point. I want to focus on both.
Okay.
And
well, what about you? What about the Jameses? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Things?
Yeah, maybe just in general, the business climate overall. Like I would say, even though James Matero, you weren't completely impacted terribly by the tariffs. What about that overall, enthusiasm buying jewelry?
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking Putnam County, well, we expected downturns as gold went up, et cetera. It didn't happen. I'm having another good year. I'm happy with that. I don't want to say anything to jinx it, so we're going to leave that at that. But conversationally, I don't know, the Highland Current actually put out an article several weeks ago regarding the surplus in tax dollars. I think it was somewhere in the tune of 70-something million in Putnam County. Mm-hmm. And how they're going to return a portion of that, but they have a surplus that was about 38% of their overall budget, which seems like a lot. So I guess the only question I would have would be, they're talking about maybe doing a $200 rebate and the legalities of doing that, and how do they give $200 to each person in Putnam, et cetera. I would almost say if we're collecting too much taxes, almost lower them so that you don't collect too much.
Yeah.
Crazy thought, I know.
Well, a big part of that is gasoline too, the price of gasoline, because most of our sales tax comes from gasoline.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And so that was just, I read that article and we're talking Putnam. So it sounds like Putnam's got a lot of extra money, and that's really good. Maybe that's for when things get rocky down the road, or maybe that's just we could do something better for the infrastructure. I mean, drive down 301. That's a county road.
Yeah, no, that's increasing debates going on at county levels about that surplus.
I figured there would be.
We can help that along for sure. James, Dane, what about you? Anything else you want to say before we let you guys get back?
No, I think a lot of really good topics here.
Well, thank you for that health. I mean, your specific information about healthcare increases. I mean, that's very valuable. I mean, we'll get that. We'll have that nailed by the time it goes up again.
By the time it goes up again.
Wish you all the best for that one.
All right. Well,
all great topics, guys. We really appreciate it. You did a fantastic job, and this is the information that we really need. And this is information we can promise you is going to get into the booklet that we're talking about, and this is going to get discussed amongst elected officials because this is super important. And if you guys do not speak to the elected officials in your area already, or do not know who they are, or don't know how to get in contact with them, that's where we can help, because your voice to them matters, and that's the whole point of this. But the more you talk to them, the more they listen, and the more they can try to help things change. So we appreciate you guys being on here today.
All right. Thank you very much.
We are actually pretty blessed because we are a small county. I am always impressed by when we do reach out, we always get good response, always get good cooperation with pretty much everybody we've ever had in office. So that's a blessing of being in a small county.
Let's hope we're continue to successfully deployed. So, Jen, how do we take ourselves out of this? Is this you're gonna?
Thank you, guys. Thank everybody for tuning in. Please see the survey below. If you have some things, you want to add to this conversation, just reach out to us and we will get you on the show. Otherwise, just fill out the survey. We want all the information. We want to really find out what's impacting the Putnam County business community. And it doesn't all have to be issues. Any good ideas that you have, anything that you think is going to improve the business climate, we want to hear.
Awesome.
There it
Thanks
is.
again.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Today's Voice of Putnam County Business podcast is sponsored by Prosperous Jenn, helping entrepreneurs and franchises build businesses that support the life of their dreams. Check out prosperousjen.com, prosperousjen with 2 N's.com. We're also proudly sponsored by Park Ford, located on Route 6 in Mayapack. Whether you're looking to purchase a new or pre-owned vehicle, Park Ford's team delivers an exceptional experience from the showroom to the world-class service bay. Contact General Manager Nick D'Andrea at 845-628-8800. Park Ford isn't just a dealership, they're a trusted partner for all your automotive needs.